The scripture reading this morning is found in Jeremiah 9, verses 23 through 24. Jeremiah 9, 23 through 24. Thus says the Lord, let not a wise man boast of his wisdom, and let not the mighty man boast of his might. Let not a rich man boast of his riches. But let him who boasts boast of this, that he understands and knows me, that I am the Lord who exercises loving kindness, justice, and righteousness on earth. For I delight in these things, declares the Lord.
You know, one of the biggest problems in the religious world and our world as a whole is that too many people simply do not really know God. They have gotten away from who God says He is, and therefore they do not know God. A couple of years back, Pew Research found that in the United States, 90% of people believe in a higher power. And on the surface, that sounds great, and we go, yay, 90%. But there's a deeper number to that as you break that down, as you read through the survey. Only 56% of that 90% believe in the God of the Bible. And that's a problem. And that's not a number to celebrate. You know, the other 33% simply believe in some kind of higher power, which usually means a higher power of their choice, and one that does what they want. By Abraham's day, just shortly 400 years after the global flood of Noah, men had already again been creating their own gods of their choosing. They worshiped the moon, the sun, the stars, the sea, fertility, war, about anything that was found in their daily lives. They made a god to it and worshipped it. They felt that they must keep each of those gods happy. And they believed that each god provided a specific need. And therefore their worship was dispersed among a host of different gods in order to bring about the maximum blessings to their lives. Even when we move forward into Christianity, one of the things that made pagan people so mad about Christians is they felt like they were neglecting gods that would bless their city or their town or their guild or whatever it might be, because they wouldn't hold to all these various gods and the blessings that the people sought from them. But this type of religion is what we call polytheism. And many of these people would be more than happy, like we saw Nebuchadnezzar in the book of Daniel. They'd be more than happy to add God to this collective list of gods that they're seeking blessings from. But God was not requesting to simply be added to their collection. He was demanding exclusivity. He was demanding undivided loyalty. And it was different than they thought, because they clearly did not know God. Polytheism still exists today. Not so much maybe with stone images, though that does still exist. But also with things like money and hobbies, the things that we devote our lives to before God or at the expense of God, can be those small g idols, those small g gods that the people had before. Another system that perverts who God is in the minds of men is something called Pantheism. It is the belief that the essence of deity permeates everything. The whole universe is God. It is mindless and a natural action of power. It's a force of nature. And the concept has seen a resurgence in popularity in our day through what is known as the New Age movement that has become very popular among many segments of our society. There is also a belief called Deism. It is another false religion and false idea concerning God that acknowledges the existence of a supreme being, but denies the biblical concept that God intervenes in and is interested in the lives of mankind. Joseph Joubert, a French deist, proclaimed, God has withdrawn within himself and hidden within the bosom of his own being. No, Deism repudiates the Bible as a revelation from God and asserts that man must walk by simply the light of reason and knowledge. Someone once said about deists is that a deist is either too lazy or not convicted enough to be an atheist, because they're certainly on the path. Islam is a major world religion that believes in God, but whose teaching is totally inconsistent with the teaching of the Bible about God. Muslims contend that God is a solitary personality. In their teachings they write, has no son nor partner, and that none has the right to be worshipped by him, but Him alone. He is true God, and every other deity is false. Followers of Muhammad thus deny the divine nature of Christ, and they deny the divine nature of the Holy Spirit. For Jehovah's Witnesses, their belief denies the deity of Christ and the Spirit as well. Mormonism denies the eternal nature of God. Joseph Smith himself once said, we have imagined and supposed that God was God from all eternity. I will refute that idea and take away the veil so that you may see. Joseph Smith chose not to hear the words that He is everlasting to everlasting. That God is Spirit, as Jesus said. For the Mormon religion also holds that God has a body of flesh and bones, as tangible as man's. So they take the very nature of God and try to destroy it. Pentecostalism alleges that the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit all represent the same divine person. They make no distinction between the persons of the sacred Godhead. Scripture, of course, explicitly points out the fact that the Father and the Son are actually separate in identity, but one in nature. The biggest problem in the religious world is that many do not know God. And I'll tell you what's so unfortunate about that reality is that there's no reason why they shouldn't be able to. They can know who God is. They can know Him in a correct manner. Not only can we know Him, we must know Him. We must know God in order to serve God. An unknown God can neither be trusted, nor served, nor worshipped. If we don't know the kind of God God is, we cannot even have true faith in Him. We must know Him, His character, His nature, His desires, His precepts, and His will for us. We must know what He is about so that we can understand, ultimately, what we're about. The foundation of all true knowledge of God must be a clear mental comprehension of His divine nature as it is revealed to us. As it is revealed to us in Scripture. In Jeremiah chapter 9 verses 23 through 24, thus says the Lord, let not the wise man boast in his wisdom. Let not the mighty man boast in his might. Let not the rich man boast in his riches. Oh, we have so many people in our world today that boast in those things, don't they? How rich they are, how smart they are, how mighty they are in some particular way. He says, don't let that be what your boast is about. He says, let a man who boast about in this, that he understands and knows me. If there's anything worth boasting about in this world, it is that we know God. Let them boast that they know me, and that I am the Lord who practices steadfast love, justice, and righteousness in the earth. For in these things I delight, declares the Lord. So we get it straight from God's mouth there as to what He wants. A spiritual and saving knowledge of God is the greatest need of every single human being on this earth. It is crucial that we not only know God, but that we have the right concept of Him. And it's not enough to believe in God and to worship God. We must believe and worship in the right God, the God of the Bible. This morning we begin a series of lessons that I hope will be informative and thought-provoking. But most importantly, I pray that they will lead us to better know and to better understand the God we serve. I'm afraid that many have lost God. At least a proper, high and lofty concept of God. That concept which God will honor because of our understanding of who He is. Too many congregations concentrate so fully on externals, big crowds, media messages, new and exciting programs, and yet oftentimes they've lost focus on the internals. They've lost focus on the vast and overwhelming goodness of God. If we have gained the externals, but we lose the internals, have we really gained anything? Everything begins with God. If you get God right, everything else will be right. The starting point is God. He is our focus. And if we don't start with God and the right concept of God, then I promise you everything else will be meaningless. So the question is, who is God? And it is a question that many people have asked themselves, a question that has been attempted to be answered a million different ways over time. God has been described as everything from an impersonal life force to a benevolent, personal, almighty Creator. He's seen by some as Mother Nature, and others a Heavenly Father. Some portray Him as a frightful old man dressed in white, with a long white beard, sitting on His throne with a cranky look, just waiting for you to mess up, so He can bring His wrath down upon you. Others have turned Him into a cheap Santa Claus to just get everything that they want. And for those who do not believe in a divine presence, God is just a three-letter word. A word used in vain as derogatory slang in fits of rage or just in casual conversation. When we ask a question like, who is God? What is it that we really want to know? Let's flip that around. If I ask, who are you? What would you say? What makes you you? What constitutes who you are? You might begin by telling me your name. You might tell me where you were born. You might tell me where your family and yourself grew up. You might tell me what you do for a living and what you enjoy doing maybe in your spare time. But is that really you? Is that all you're about? I would think not. Who we truly are lies beneath the exterior and the labels the world might put on us. You are more than an associate. You are more than a business owner. You are more than a student. You are more than a husband or a wife or a mom or a dad. Those are labels. Some labels carry a lot of heavy importance, heavy weight. But who you truly are at your core is your character. The person you are at heart, inside. Likewise, any investigation into God, into who God is, must go beyond the realm of the physical and be a journey into the heart of God. looking at the moral attributes, the nature, and the character of who God is. We must derive our knowledge of God from the Bible and not from our personal preferences and opinions. There's a lot of things that some people wish God was. But all that's important is what the Bible says He is. Yes, we are made in the image of God, according to Genesis chapter 1 and verse 26. But we are not God. And if we fail to realize that important fact, then we will surely create gods of our own. Gods of our choosing. Social scientists tell us that there is compelling evidence that each culture in the world has created its own gods. In fact, these gods that these cultures create are almost a mirror image of the culture itself. Agricultural people develop gods of the ground, gods of rain, gods of the sun, because those are the things that affect their agricultural communities. People of ocean-going people worship the moon, the sea, and the stars. We tend to fashion a God that is more like ourselves, a God that will be less likely to condemn my choices and more likely to confirm the things I want to do. And people want a God who will let them be who they want to be, and yet then they want that God to step in and save them from the consequences of their own choices. It is a God just for me, that fits me to a T. We must be very careful. Very careful not to turn God into a mere magnification of ourselves. We must never reduce God to our level. We must never view God as anything but the perfect, immense, and holy being that He is, always has been, and always will be, from everlasting to everlasting. You ever have a craving? I do. I'm not going to talk about my cravings. I'm going to talk about Jeannie's because she's not here. When Jeannie was pregnant with Jonah, we lived in this little town in Mississippi, and I don't think we had any people of Oriental descent in that whole town that I can remember. But yeah, we had a Chinese restaurant. It wasn't a very clean place. I think I saw on their little number thing had like a 78. Okay, so Jeannie's pregnant. She's craving Chinese food. Bad. And I don't want to get Chinese food from there. That's a nasty place. That's the only place available. I can tell you to this day, I did it because I loved her. I didn't fulfill her craving. But 25 years later, she still holds that over me. Okay, cravings are powerful things. And I guess even worse when they're denied by an unloving husband. In Psalm 42, David has a craving. It says, as the deer pants for the water brooks, so my soul pants for you, O God. My soul thirsts for God, for the living God. When shall I come and appear before you, God? My tears have been my food day and night, while they say to me all day long, where is your God? There is a craving here. And the object of the craving of the psalmist here is, of course, God. And he pictures it as a deer panting for water, with tongue hanging out, searching for the land, across the land for the one thing that it needs to live. For that water. He says that this kind of thirst is what he has for God. It's so similar to Jesus in the Beatitudes that we hunger and thirst for righteousness. That starvation, that dehydration. That one thing you would ever want if you're starving is food. And one thing you'd ever want if you're dehydrated completely is water. That's the desire we're to have for God. Psalmist also says in 143 and 6, my soul longs for you as a parched land. Our craving for God should be like a parched land crying out for water. The land is dry and it is cracked and it is dusty and it is barren. The vegetation is dead. The trees are brown. That's our life without God. And the only thing that can give it life is that living water. Is that the description of your heart? Is it a dry and dead place without living water? Do you see God as the only source that can give you the life that you desperately need? Do you crave Him with all of your being? I hope you do. Peter said in 1 Peter chapter 2 and verses 2 and 3, like newborn babes, long. That word long there, that's crave for it. Long for the pure milk of the Word. Long to hear what God has to say. So that by it you may grow in respect to salvation if you have tasted the kindness of the Lord. In Acts chapter 17, we are in the city of Athens. A city that in the first century, it is recorded, had 30,000 pagan temples. They had their gods covered, didn't they? They got them all. They covered them all. They were seeking blessings from them all. They were an incredibly pagan society. In fact, Paul would even say, I perceive you're a very religious people. Some translations say superstitious, but the word is really about being religious. And you're standing here on this hill and you're looking around, and there's the Pantheon across the valley, and there's all these other pagan temples. How can you come to any other conclusion than they were a very superstitious people? Very religious. But Paul comes upon an altar to the unknown God. I've heard preachers explain a lot of explanations for that, and I'm just going to leave it for what it said. It was an unknown God. And truly, when you looked around at those 30,000 temples, the God of heaven was unknown. Because if they knew Him, they know that that's not acceptable. But He wants them to understand and to know that there is an unknown God to them that they need to know. Folks, we got people out here in our community, we got people out here in our world, and they're worshiping a lot of things and they're building a lot of temples. But there's an unknown God in their life. And it's the only one they need. And it's the one that lies upon us as a responsibility given by God to tell them about. Paul did not miss his opportunity as he comes before a group of people that sat around day and night reasoning logically in Greek philosophy, the Areopagites, and Paul stands before them and he tells them about the God they don't know. He says, beginning with verse 24, the God who made the world and all things in it, since He is Lord of heaven and earth, does not dwell in temples made with hands, nor is He served by human hands as though He needed anything, since He Himself gives to all people life and breath and all things. And He made from one man every nation of mankind to live on the face of this earth, having determined their appointed times and boundaries of their habitation, that they would seek God, if perhaps they might grope for Him and find Him, though He's not far from each of us. For in Him we live and move and exist. And even as some of your poets have said, for we also are His children. Being then the children of God, we ought not think that the divine nature is like gold or silver or stone, an image formed by the art, here it is, or the thought of man. I and my intelligence and my thought add nothing to who God is. And it shouldn't be that way. I should never try to add anything to Him. I should simply take who He is, worship Him, adore Him, honor Him, and bring glory to Him all the days of my life. Is that the God you know? The God that Paul just described? Or is that God unknown to you? This morning, are you struck with awe in the fact that you can be here this morning as a child of God? John said we need to stop and behold in 1 John chapter 3 and verse 1. Behold the manner of love the Father has shown to us, that we can simply be what we are this morning. Children of God. When you think about God, you should be struck with an awe. And if you're not, then you need to know Him better. Because when you know with God, it changes your life. Do you know Him? Or are you like that altar? Or are you worshiping something you don't know? If you don't know God today, if you don't know the salvation that He offers, if you haven't responded to His gospel that He made possible through the sending of Jesus to His Son to this earth and allowing Him to die upon a cross, we want you to know about that. We want you to know God. If we can help you with that this morning, we want to do so. We hope and pray that you will come as we stand and as we sing.